So I did say if you keep buying the files, I'll keep making this video, so here we are. And you better be careful, or one of my next upcoming videos is going to be how I made $1 million selling files. In today's video, we're going to make another tray. This one's going to target an upcoming niche, which is end-of-year teacher gifts. But first, we're going to talk about something really important. Just as important as selling a unique tray is where to sell them. So if you want to just skip to where we're making the tray, you can just click right here. I don't know how to do that. But yeah, just skip ahead. But I think this is really important information to share. So there are a handful of different places to sell your items. They all come with their own pros and cons. The first one I'm going to talk about is markets and in-person sales. One of the hardest things about selling at markets is that not only do you have to pay upfront costs for your booth and get everything ready, is you also have to make a ton of inventory. And if you're brand new to selling, you have no idea what's going to sell, especially with the random smattering of people going to a random market wherever it's located. Now, personally, I love markets, but I would recommend being more established and having some successful products before you even attempt doing that. And as far as selling online, a lot of people shit on selling on Etsy. I've always loved Etsy. Of course, you're going to be paying for that, or I estimate at least 25% of my cost is going to go directly to Etsy on a sale. And I've always just factored that into the cost of my product. It ends up being around the same, at least I found when you're selling from a website as well, is that 25% is still going to go towards ads because you have to get people to go to your website. And unless you have a huge social media following, they're not just going to randomly show up. Now, that being said, Etsy is great. It is a marketplace, and they spend millions of dollars on advertising and bringing customers to you to be able to sell products. Now, the biggest detriment for Etsy is that you have to compete with everybody else. And if you have a good idea, somebody else is going to see it and start copying you. But you can't stop that from happening anywhere. Within the first month of us selling online, we had overseas companies selling our products and using our product photos. They had like Marina's hand in the photo. But again, as I said, if you are number one to market, you're beating everybody else, which means you can sell for a higher price point and get some sales before anybody else sees your cool idea. But Etsy is doing the heavy lifting in that scenario. They're bringing the customers to your product. So that is the price you pay. Now, as I mentioned, Marina and I both worked for Shopify for 5 years. I think it's like 90 to 95% of all businesses fail. And when it's your business, that's painful. So I usually don't recommend starting a Shopify store unless you've already established a customer base. If you have people wanting to purchase from you, then you should have a website, definitely. But if you're just starting out fresh, it can get really expensive. I mean, right now, I think their startup price is like $30, $39 a month US. And honestly, that price doesn't really matter if you're bringing in sales. Like, it should be paying for itself. There's no reason why you should be paying for a website that isn't generating any money. And you wouldn't believe the amount of people that will pay for a website for years without ever making a sale. Shopify's number one focus is e-commerce. So if you want a fast, reliable checkout for your customers to be able to purchase from you, that is your way to go for sure. If you're looking for like a blog or a feature photograph gallery of all your existing products, it can do it, but that's not what it's designed for. Shopify is a workhorse for checkout transactions. Personally, I've always loved it because if I was going to be doing in-person sales, they have a POS or a point of sale, and I can just accept payments right on my phone. And if I was running inventory, I can manage that all in one location. So I can have all my products listed on my website. They all show up on my phone as purchasable items. And if I purchase something from there, it removes it from my inventory if I have that in stock on the website. But honestly, the best reason to use Shopify is that it will directly integrate with your Facebook and Instagram. So you can have purchasable products on your social media. And that's how we got started. We had a very small following on social media, like less than 100 people. When we would post something, we'd get like 10 or 12 likes on it. Anything that got more traction than that, we would boost the post. And when we finally started getting consistent sales on those posts, we started putting real advertising dollars for them, targeting those direct niches. You have to remember, we were creating like 10 to 20 new Catchall trays a day at the time. I would make them all in the shop, and then Marina would finish them and take photos for social media and post them. And that is the secret to how we paid off that CNC in the first 20 days. For the directly targeted Facebook ads, we would budget about $100 per ad. If it didn't make a sale within that first $25, we'd scrap it and move on. And as soon as we had consistent sales, then we scaled those ads to spend more money. And then we just rinsed and repeated that with all new products. Just remember, you can't be hung up on any one of your individual products. You gotta throw as many darts as possible and then be ready to hit the ground running as soon as one is successful. But also remember, all that competition is right behind you. So you have to keep up with that vicious cycle. But it's very important to be able to let your ideas just go. If they're not working, move on. So just to recap, I don't think this is get rich quick. It really wasn't. It was a ton of work. But I believe that you can do it too if you make unique products and then target unique niches for those products. Which is why I hope there's value in these videos. It's not about just grabbing my files, which we appreciate. It's about learning how to be able to do this yourself so you can keep ahead of everybody else. and get your CNC paid for. Come on, man. If an idiot like me can do it, I guarantee you can do it. Because I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. All right, enough of that. Let's get into today's file. So we're going to do a tray today, Catchall tray pencil tray for teachers in the shape of a pencil. I know, I'm not reinventing the wheel here. These are basic ideas, but they are unique to me. I always do a search on Etsy and online to see if there's anything too similar. And if I find something, then I move on. But I didn't find this one. We're going to make a pencil tray with a spot for paper clips, with the teacher's name on it, completely customizable. Let's get into it. So for this project, I was thinking that this is most likely going to end up on a teacher's desk or in their drawer. And I didn't want it to be too big. So I started with the size of 13 by 4 inches. And I'm just going to try and design within that boundary. And again, we're just grabbing shapes. And I'm going to try and add in all the elements that I think a pencil needs for it to look like a pencil. But the only element that actually needs to be specific is where the pencil itself is going to lay. And I just measured a pencil to make sure the size was correct. And then no matter what else I design, I have to make sure that this box stays the same size. And then we're just going to do a little pocket tray for, like I said, small odds and ends like thumbtacks or paper clips or anything else. Now I should mention that this tray is actually going to break a lot of my rules. And that being is you want to limit your bit changes and the amount of bits that you use. But for this one, I just thought, it'd be fun to see what I can do. I'm gonna use a bowl bit for where the pencils go. I'm going to use an end mill for the actual pocket, and I'm going to use a 90-degree V bit for the engraving. But that is something that I definitely think about when I'm designing these, especially if I plan on mass producing them, is you want to think yeah, it's fine to make 1 or 2 of these, but what would happen if I had to make 1,000 of them? So you really want to make sure that you're conscious of your cut times, your bit changes, and how many bits you're using and going through. Now, I wouldn't normally design like this, like in Illustrator or anything else I've ever used. I've never designed this way, but for some reason, VCarve is really forgiving. So I just grabbed this Create Art tool, and as long as your lines are overlapping each other, then you can just come in afterwards with the interactive trim tool, the little scissors, and just remove all the extra lines that you don't want. So I'm pretty happy with this. It looks like a pencil. Now we're just going to add in all our cut lines. And the first thing I do that offset, because I'm going to do a clearance path on this. And again, the reason I do that is because I'm going to be engraving on this. And I want to make sure the top is perfectly flat. And it's not a very big piece of wood, so it's not going to take very long to do this step. Then I'm going to grab all the elements for the VCarve. Because the nib is a little bigger, I am going to add a clearance tool in there. So that's another bit. I'm using a 1/2 inch end mill, just to make sure that it doesn't take so long with the 90-degree bit. And for where the pencils are going to lay, I'm definitely going to use a bowl bit because you want it to be easy to take a pencil in and out of it. Another thing to remember for the way that I cut is that I did that clearance path that started at 0.02 inches. So all my cuts are always going to start at 0.02 inches after that clearance path. So now we're just going to cut out the actual tray part, which is really small. It's not going to take a long time. I'm just using a 1/2 or 1/4 inch end mill. I'm not even really that worried about the bottom of this. It's going to be impossible to sand in there, but you're not really even going to see it. And with a 1/4 inch end mill, there's barely going to be any step over, but you could add more if you wanted more. You could bring it down to 10% if you wanted. Now we'll grab our outside line and we're just going to do a profile toolpath, the width of our board on the outside. And finally, probably the most important part is the text, because this is what makes it customizable, which ups our price. But that's it. It's a Catchall tray that looks like a pencil with the teacher's name on it. Now, to sell this one, I would do a Facebook ad. I would make a really nice photo of a desk with this on it, a couple pencils in it, fill the tray with staples or thumbtacks, paper clips, maybe an apple on the desk so you know it's for a teacher, and then target people that have kids in school still. So there you go, a totally unique tray by just moving shapes around. It couldn't be easier. So you can find us on all social media at Two Makers Crew. So if you make something cool and you want to show it off, or if you have any questions, especially about starting a website, feel free to DM us. We're always available. If you're thinking of starting a Shopify store, we'll put our affiliate link in the description below. That way we get a little cheddar on the back end. But I wouldn't rush to just signing up for a Shopify store, because honestly, that's where a lot of people fail. So we'll put together a pre-trial checklist and release that in an upcoming video. That way you have everything ready for when you do sign up for that Shopify account, so you can hit the ground running and have your store open within, a week instead of a year. And if you have any questions, again, DM us anytime. Don't forget to subscribe. We're almost at 1,000 subscribers, which is awesome. And thanks for watching. Bye.